Welcome back, each and everyone watching Mamaruga Gasabo Television. Thank you for being with us in today's news edition. You're going to be with me, Kamikaze Gislen. Now let's kick off with the news headlines. President Paul Kagame chairs Presidential Advisory Council meeting. IHS Holding sells its operation in Rwanda. On the international news, DRC's government, Congo River Alliance signs ceasefire monitoring and verification mechanism. Let's take a short break to be back into the news details. Welcome back. Let's start our news in Rwanda. This morning at Kigali Golf Resort, President Paul Kagame is chairing the Presidential Advisory Council (PAC), a platform that brings together Rwandan international experts to exchange ideas and advice on Rwanda's development. Discussions will focus on innovative and practical ways to further and accelerate the country's socio-economic progress and address key regional and global challenges. Moving ahead, Dr. Frank Habineza, leader of Democratic Green Party of Rwanda, and Alphonse Nkubana, leader of the Solidarity Party for Development, have been elected as senators by representatives of the National Federation of Political Organizations. The election took place during an extraordinary general meeting in Kigali on October 14, 2025. Their nominations will be submitted to the Supreme Court for approval. If confirmed, they will replace Senators Mugisha Alexis and Clotilde Mukakarangwa, whose terms expire on October 22, 2025. Dr. Habineza, who founded the DGPR in 2009, served in the Chamber of Deputies from 2018 and is also running in the 2024-2029 parliamentary term. He previously ran unsuccessfully for president twice. Nkubana, besides leading the PSF, has been the spokesperson of the NFPO since 2024. Both leaders have long been involved in Rwandan politics and will bring experience to the Senate if their appointments are confirmed. Turning to the next story, IHS Holding Limited, a global leader in telecommunication tower infrastructure, has sold 100% of its Rwandan operation to Paradigm Tower Ventures for $274.5 million. The deal includes 1,456 towers and awaits final approval for relevant authorities. IHS stated that the sales aligns with its strategy to maximize shareholder value and had announced its intention to exit the Rwandan market in May 2025. This acquisition marks Paradigm's entry into the sub-Saharan Africa tower sector. Paradigm is backed by Convergence Partners and Rand Merchant Bank, a division of First Land Bank Limited. CEO and co-founder Stephen Harris expressed enthusiasm about operating in Rwanda, praising its commitment to infrastructure development. He pledged to deliver high-quality, reliable services for telecom clients. IHS entered Rwanda in 2013, acquiring tower assets from MTN, Rwandacell, and later purchasing Rwanda Towers Limited from Airtel Rwanda. The transition signals a new chapter of Rwanda's telecom infrastructure under Paradigm's management and investment approach. Let's take a short break to be back into the international news.
Bakiriya bacu, turabamenyesha ko Danobe Home yabaye Smart Home. Ni impinduka zigamije kongera ibicuruzwa byiza kandi biramba. By'umwihariko ku biciro bibanogeye n'uburyo bwo kwishyura buboroheye. Wadusanga aho dukorera KBC Kimihurura cyangwa ugasura urubuga rwacu wa@smarthome.rawa. Wanaduhamagara cyangwa se ukatwandikira ku murongo wa telefone ukurikira 07 88 90 50 90.
Welcome back. On the international news, the government of Democratic Republic of Congo and the Congo Labor Alliance M23 movement signed in Doha on Tuesday an agreement to establish a ceasefire monitoring and verification mechanism facilitated by State of Qatar in line with Doha Declaration of Principles signed on July 19, 2025. The mechanism will oversee implementation of the permanent ceasefire, investigate and verify reported violations, and communicate with the relevant parties to prevent a resumption of hostilities. Meanwhile, Madagascar's President Andry Rajoelina dissolved the National Assembly with immediate effect on Tuesday. Princess Mugisha proceeds.
The State and African news from Madagascar President Andry Rajoelina dissolved the National Assembly with immediate effect on Tuesday, the president said in a statement published on Facebook. The move escalates the standoff between the president, youth-led protests, and the military which forced him to flee the country. It is also a planned opposition-led vote to force him out of office over the island nation's spilling political crisis. In the post, Rajoelina said he had consulted with the leaders of the Assembly and the Senate, but it was not immediately clear if the move was legal. On Monday, it was reported that the president had left the country on Sunday evening after factions of the army lied behind the Gen Z protest. They have been leading mass demonstrations against the creeping water and electricity outages since its last month, involving Madagascar in political crisis. His sacking of the country energy minister and late the entire government in late September did little to quell the unrest. Groups of soldiers joined the youth-led movement in the capital, Antananarivo, over the weekend, saying they would refuse orders to shoot. Addressing the nation later on Monday from an undisclosed location, the journalist said he had to leave the country for fear of his life after assassination attempt. Turning to our next story on the international news, there is huge uncertainty over the next steps for the Gaza a day after 20 living Israeli hostages and hundreds of the Palestinian detainees were united with their families as part of the ceasefire deal. The IDF says it has identified the bodies of the 4 hostages returned by Hamas, naming 2, but the families have expressed anger that the bodies of up to 24 others hostages have not yet been returned. In Gaza, the Palestinian Civil Defense tells the BBC that 7 people have been killed by Israeli fire in 2 separate incidents in eastern Gaza City and east of the Khan Younis. The Israeli military say it fired at people who had crossed the line, where its troops have withdrawn to under the ceasefire plan. Aid agents described the destruction in Gaza as devastating and say it's a race against the clock to deliver supplies. President Donald Trump said the next stage of the negotiation over his plan to end the war are underway. BBC correspondents on details yet on how and when they will be carried out. Concluding on international news, Venezuela has said it will close its embassy in Norway days after opposition leader Maria Corina Machado was awarded Nobel Peace Prize in Oslo. Norway's foreign ministry said that Venezuela embassy had not given any explanation for its decision on Monday. The ministry said the Nobel Committee responsible for the prize is entirely separate from the Norwegian government. Machado was announced as the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize winner on Friday for her fight to achieve democratic transition in the South American nation. The 58-year-old, who has been in hiding over the past year, was disqualified from standing this year's election in Venezuela. President Nicolas Maduro was declared the winner despite the credible evidence of the contrary sparking the huge protests were made with violent crackdown by the government. In addition to Norway, Venezuela government also announced on Monday that it would close its embassy in Austria and open new ones in Burkina Faso and Zimbabwe. The decision to close embassies in Austria and Norway, 2 major U.S. allies, comes in the rising tension between Caracas and Washington. The United States crashed with Venezuela at an emergency meeting of the UN Security Council Friday, with President Trump administration vowing to use its full might to wipe out drug cartels and the Maduro government saying it anticipates an armed attack. Venezuela asked for the meeting of the UN's most powerful body following deadly U.S. military strikes on 4 boats that Washington claims was transporting drugs. Caracas has accused President Trump of seeking to topple Maduro and threatening peace, security, and stability regionally and internationally. Princess Mugisha Mwarwa, Gasabo TV.
As we come to the end of today's news edition, let's remind you of the top stories that we talked about. President Paul Kagame chairs Presidential Advisory Council meeting. IHS Holding sells its operation in Rwanda. On the international news, DRC's government, Congo River Alliance signs ceasefire monitoring and verification mechanism. And this marks the end of today's news edition. Stay tuned.